it is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. Y'all, I was $36 short of making $10,000 this month in my reselling business. And I only work part-time. I'm working 15, maybe 20 hours a week. So if you want to see how much of this $10,000 actually makes it into my bank account after you take out cost of goods, after you take out expenses, after you take out taxes, because y'all, we are a small business, you do have to pay those taxes, make sure to stay tuned. And it's not as much as you think. So before we get into the numbers, I'm going to show you from the top all the way down to the bottom what makes it into my bank account. I am going to give you guys a little bit of background. If you're new to my channel, I am a part-time reseller. So I am a mom of 3 children. I have a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a special needs 15-year-old. I was remote learning them for the past year. They have recently gone back into school, but my 4-year-old is only in preschool 4 days a week for 3 hours. So that is when I'm doing my reselling business. The majority of my business gets done in those small amount of hours. I can ship with him, and then I do usually work a few hours Saturday morning, but that's when I'm doing my reselling business, including my social media. So roughly 15 to 20 hours a week, I am doing reselling and then also creating content. I do have 3 dashboards with 3 digital products and 2 courses available. This is going into that gross number as well. And I will show you a split out of, what's reselling compared to some of my other streams of revenue. And I do have a virtual assistant to list. My virtual assistant is listing for me to help me stay consistent because, I am a mom of 3. I don't have a ton of time, but that is it. I do everything else myself with the exception of the listing. The virtual assistant has drafts ready for me to upload. And then as far as things that I'm selling, I sell mostly women's clothing, shoes, purses, and clothes. I do liquidation pallets. So I do have some new attack items. And then I also have items from the thrift store. I have about 2 times the amount of items from the pallet as I do from the thrift store. So keep that in mind when you are looking at these numbers as well. If you want further breakdowns of that information, I do have a lot of what sold videos, analytical videos about breakdowns of the numbers behind these numbers if you want a little bit more nitty gritty into that. All right, so let's see the numbers now. $9,964.91 is how much I made in my reselling business. Now, this is a business as a whole. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. I'll do a breakout of how much was digital products, YouTube, compared to the platforms that I sell on. My cost of goods sold. So of the items that sold from this, it cost me $2,337.06. So that is my gross profit is $7,333. So these are the numbers that you are likely seeing on social media. Definitely the gross, it's very impressive. I had a $10,000. I mean, let's say it. I had a $10,000 month. I'm going to round that up for the sake of ease. $10,000 month. That looks really impressive. But stay tuned, guys, because if you are looking at becoming a reseller or you're really wondering, is this a viable option? There's a lot more that goes into this. And I'm going to share all those numbers with you. Of this $10,000, 260 items sold. So that is, like I said, this is not all from reselling. I'm going to show you a chart in just a minute of what the split out is, but 260 items went in to make that number. And this gives me a gross hourly rate of $166. I'm not mad about that, like in the least bit, because I work. It is so nice to have the flexibility. I work when my kids are in school. I'm able to take time off as I need. I can, when I have a kid sick at home, I can, be flexible in that. So I'm actually absolutely not mad at that. My gross profit margin as a percent is 75%. That is pretty legit. As a reseller, we have a very low cost of good. There is very low overhead. It's something that you can get started on very easily. We're going to be looking at my split out. So how much of that $9,000, where did that money come from? You're watching me on YouTube, right? Obviously I have a YouTube channel. Like I said, I have dashboards and courses available as well. And this is the split out. So 77% of that revenue, that gross revenue, came from eBay. eBay is absolutely my main boo. It took me 8 months to actually get eBay to outperform Poshmark and now to like significantly outperform Poshmark. So hang in there. I will link a playlist that I have up here. I'm doing tutorials on, things that I did to get there. Poshmark used to be a year ago. Poshmark was my main platform, and now obviously eBay at 77%. 6% is Poshmark. Poshmark is significantly, is just been on the decline. I have videos on what I think is happening there and things that I'm doing over there. So make sure to follow, check out some of those videos. But then if you look at the rest of my income, or the rest of that gross revenue, is coming from courses and dashboards, YouTube, and affiliates. So I kind of lump all of that together into my social media. My digital products are mainly selling from social media. I have them on Etsy, and that's a very small percentage of what is selling. So they sell through my website. People know about my website because of social media. So I kind of lump all those together. And that chunk is roughly around 20% of my revenue is coming from quote unquote social media. You can see YouTube directly. This is just AdSense, is only 2%. You don't make a lot of money on AdSense unless you are one of these, big hitters that is having 50,000 views per video. My views are not there. So my YouTube AdSense is pretty low, but overall, I think social media is a decent chunk of that. So keep that in mind as well. It's definitely more than Poshmark. And I'm going to talk before we get into the rest, the shipping, the fees, the expenses, and then how much I actually put into my bank account. If you like a video like this, if you like to see the behind the scenes of a reselling business, as well as how to make money reselling, my channel is dedicated to helping you figure out how to make money reselling. The strategies that I tell you and what I teach you applies to everybody. It is based off of data and based off of numbers. And you can apply that if you are selling 10 items a month, or if you are selling 20,000 items a month. Those apply to everybody. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if this is something that you want to join me in and you like content like that. So let's get into this: selling fees and shipping. So this is going to be something I don't have a ton of control over. Selling fees, you can move a little bit on eBay because you can do promoted listings. And then you can also, if you are like a top rated seller or top rated seller plus, you get some discounts back in your selling fees and that as well. So you can move eBay a little bit. Also depends on what categories you sell. I sell mainly women's clothing, shoes, and purses. And so mine is, that fee, I think is like 12.3% or something like that. And then promoted listings. I am currently doing 2% promoted listings, and I will link a video up here on why I've decided to do that and it's not why, it's how I decided to do that, because then you guys can do it as well and see what percent works for you. What works for me is going to be different because you guys aren't selling what I'm selling. It's going to be different than what I have. You don't have the feedback that I have, or the volume, or more volume, right? So I show you how to decide what works for you. So selling fees, Poshmark is a flat 20%. Absolutely no control on that. Currently, my eBay fees last month so we're looking at March. Should have said that. This is my March, closeout of March. So my selling fees for March were currently around like 13.5, like between 13 and 14%. So like I said, eBay, you have a little bit of control over. Shipping, I did write that down. My shipping on Poshmark, the shipping on Poshmark is going to be if you offer a discount. Otherwise, it comes out of Poshmark. And my shipping on Poshmark was $12. I gave $12 worth of shipping discounts on Poshmarks. I rarely do that. I would rather give more of a discount off the item than on the shipping. But when you send out offers on Poshmark, you do have to send a shipping discount with it. So that is where that $12 came from. The rest of the shipping is eBay. I'm in the middle of the country. I'm in Colorado. So it costs me roughly the same amount to send it to New York as it does to send it to California. It's kind of the nice thing about being in the middle of the state. So I do a flat rate. I don't make money off of shipping. This is strictly what it costs me to send people the items. So then you can see here, now we're down, this cuts into, now I'm at about a 50% margin once you take out cost of goods and once you take out selling fees and shipping. And I think this is another number that you will often hear. Sometimes you will hear when people say, this is my margin less my cost of goods, my shipping and fees. This is what people will consider maybe their net. But there's more things that go into this. And I want you guys to really know this and really understand the background of what it takes if you are trying to support a family, or if you're trying to go into this full time and see how much you're actually going to be making to be able to pay your bills? Or even if you're doing it as a side hustle, is it worth all the work that you're putting into it? So that gives me roughly a 50% margin once you take out shipping cogs, selling fees, and shipping. But then you get into expenses. It takes money to run a business. And fortunately for most resellers, your overhead is pretty low. Most of us I work out of my house. So I do take a percentage of the square footage of my house for tax purposes, right? You can write all of these things off. So, that's some of the expenses. And I will show you a split out of all the expenses. But my expenses for the month of March were $1,300. It costs money to run a business on top of what I'm paying for inventory. And let's go look at what that split out is. You can see here in this chart for all of the months, the majority of that is going to be virtual assistants. There is absolutely no way I could get to that $10,000 if I did not have someone making those listings for me. They are spending roughly 15 to 20 hours a week making listings. So if you want your net to be more, right? If you don't want to pay a virtual assistant, you're going to be spending more time. For me, I don't have more time. And so it is worth it for me to do a virtual assistant. And I also don't like listing. So I do have, that is the majority of the expenses for me. You can see the second biggest chunk of those expenses for me is going to be office supplies. And so that is going to be poly mailers. I put everything in a poly mailer before I mail it out. I put little labels on all of my SKUs, right? Post-it notes. I mean, that's the majority is the shipping supplies. I do get free shipping supplies from eBay, free because I pay for store, but you get free shipping supplies. So a lot of it is that and free shipping supplies from USPS. But there's things that it costs to run a business. As I expanded my business this past year, I had to buy more, shelves to put items on. I had to buy more bins to put items on. So that's kind of what the office supplies comes from. And then you can see the rest is kind of these smaller chunks. You have banking fees in there. It costs, I take my phone, my internet, electricity, water, trash. These are all things that it costs to run a business. And that's where that $13,000, I'd be in the hole. That's where that $1,300 comes from expenses. Taxes, y'all. So my profit before taxes is $3,600 from $10,000, y'all. So this $10,000 sounds really amazing. Keep that in mind when you are looking at social media and comparing yourself to others. So final number, before I give you the final number, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you do like to see numbers and how to run a business and tips and tricks on how I get to this $10,000, as well as data-driven strategies. Everything is based on numbers, and I teach you how to do it for yourself. Instead of just showing you what works for me, I teach you how to do all of these things for yourself, showing my numbers. So the final number after I take out taxes. So I am assuming a 20% federal tax. I am assuming it's like 15.9% self-employee tax. That's the rough part about working for yourself, is you no longer have a company that is paying that employment tax for you. You're taking on that burden yourself. And then in my state, every state is different. I have a 5% tax. So that is 40% taxes. I am paying 40% taxes, y'all, on that $3,600. So my take home in the month of March is $2,600. $2,622.83. That puts my hourly at the end of my net, essentially my profit less taxes, my hourly is $43. All right, so I went from $10,000 all the way down to less than $3,000. To me, it's absolutely worth it. I am able to make $43 an hour after I pay for my business and everything, working from home, having the flexibility to work from home. Do you guys think that it's worth it? Let me know down below. If you liked this video, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video. And here's a playlist of some other videos on how to make sales, reselling, and analyticals and running your business in that. You guys might like that playlist. Make sure to hit that subscribe button.